Hey YouTube, Engineer 100. Today is a sad day. I had an accident with one of my floor jacks slipping off of the jack pad and smashed my side skirt. This is what happened. So today I'm going to replace this side skirt with one that I got off eBay that also needs a little bit of repair, but there's no missing component. I'll show that to you now. I picked this beauty up off of eBay and it's in pretty good shape, except for right here on the end, it's also cracked. But there's no missing material, so I can fix it. And I got it really cheap. So for now, until I can get a new one, I'm going to use this and I'm going to fix it by gluing it and then plastic welding it with metal reinforcement. Stay tuned. Okay, so here's a quick walkthrough on what I'm going to do in this repair. First, I'm going to clean the affected area here with acetone. Then I'm going to glue it in place just so that it holds while I try to do my very first plastic welding job with this nice welder here. And this, I got a really good quality one. I got a cheap one from Harbor Freight too, but I just want to have a good one because I'll probably be doing this a lot, and I'll be reinforcing it with screen. Then I have already jacked up the car here, as you can see, and that'll give me access to this side skirt. It's held on by like I think it's 25 T25 Torx screws on the front and the back, and then along the bottom edge. So that's what I'll be using to remove the old and replace it with the repaired, new to me, plastic welded side skirt. So let's get started. Alright, first off, like we said, let's go ahead and put some acetone here, clean up this area, clean it so that I can glue it first and hold it in place while I weld it. Let that dry, and I'll go in there with some crazy glue and try to get it to hold it for me. This should be interesting. Okay, and I'm going to just go along that edge and inside the crack. I want it to hold it just long enough so that when I go to weld, it doesn't move on me. So I don't trust anything else, so I'm just going to hold it by hand. I'm going to suck it up and hold it by hand here for a couple of minutes. And then we will proceed with the welding process. Turn it over so I have a better view of how it will be glued in on the outside where it's actually seen. And we'll eventually fix all this with welding. So the crack should be completely invisible, but I want to get it as close as possible with the gluing, and then I'll do the reinforcement on the back with the metal mesh, and we'll flip it over again and we'll clean it up with the plastic weld on the outside. Okay, she's all glued up. The crazy glue looks to be holding fine, so we're going to turn it over. And we're going to map out where we're going to put the mesh. Okay, I've got my mesh here. It looks like we can get away with almost a perfect L. So I'm looking at this. I'm going to have a piece about this long here. And then down here, it just comes straight across. So I'm going to go out a little bit wider, like so. We'll come down and leave this kind of wide. And I'll come across. I'll cut a piece about yay big, and we will weld that into place. Get my tin snips here. Probably should just cut this little piece off here, this little corner, so that we don't go over. So let me do that. I'm going to cut it about right there. Cut a little bit extra so that we don't. So we can cut in there. Center that. Center this. Look at that. Oh my, I'm looking like a welding expert already. So now the finesse part. Gently persuading that mesh into the plastic and letting the heat and gentle pressure do the work. Here we go. Okay, iron's nice and hot. I can smell it. So I'm gonna try holding this in place. Let me see where that crack is, that crack. I'm going to hold this in place, trying to make sure I'm centered on that one, centered on that one, and then I'm going to start, I think I'll start at this outside edge here, just kind of tack it, hopefully it'll just hold it in place. So I'm just going to take the iron, and I'm just going to lay it on there and see what happens. Just going to lay it on there, let it heat up the metal, and hopefully the metal will just start to sink into the plastic. I'm going to do anything else, just hold. Okay, and hold. And look at that, it's going right in there. Hold. And right on down. And I'll come over it, I'll do it again, and I'll get it to sink a little bit farther. Right now I'm kind of just tacking it in place so that I know it's where I want it. That's sinking in nicely. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And we're going to go down the crack. And I don't want any jokes in the comments about going down the crack. You guys keep it professional. We're talking about a high quality plastic welding job here, and we don't need any crack jokes in the comments. So let me go down to this one. It's not quite, let's see. I'll just pull that over a little bit more, there we go. And then I just want to hold this until it goes into the plastic. And yeah, as soon as I see it move, beautiful, look at that, it turns the mesh black. Once I'm done, I want this mesh to be completely black like that, all the way down. And then let it cool. And I'll go over it again. Let me see where the crack is, see if I'm centered. Yeah, so I'll move this over a little bit like that, there we go. That way I know I'm right on the crack. I don't want to burn myself. And then move along like so. And just repeat. And what I'm going to do after this is held in place, I'm going to add some plastic. The little kit comes with a little bit of extra plastic. And I'm going to add some material on top of this to reinforce the sandwiching of this mesh. And then I can go a little bit harder, see here, a little bit longer, because it's being reinforced. And back up to my original starting point. And get that a little bit more melted into the plastic. And I think the thing that I learned watching other videos was to the technique is patience. Go slow, let the heat do the work, and just kind of respond to how your metal and plastic are responding to you. And then adjust how long you hold and having the pressure. Just pay attention. And then gently do it, because I have to go extra slow because this is the first time I've ever done it and I don't really know what I'm doing. So I could just kind of had to blindly follow their instruction. And it seems to be working fairly well. Once I get this mesh fully embedded and blackened, I will add some of the plastic on top of it that came with the kit. This here. I'll just use this, but I have a lot of work to do still here. And I want to do a good job, so I'm taking my time on this side. And I'm also kind of getting a feel for how the plastic melts, because when I go on the other side, I'm going to need all the experience I can get to keep from making a mess. You want to really have a fairly good technique on the outside when I try and close up that crack. So I'm trying to take advantage of the backside and really get a feel for how the plastic flows and how hot my little iron is and how long I need to hold it in place to get my plastic to flow, and then take that experience to the front side. This is all the experience I have. I've never done it before. I'm going to go ahead and put some reinforcement on this back part here because I like the way that looks already. That way you don't have to wait as long for me to finish the whole thing, because it's just going to be the same thing I'm doing now up on this part. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this and I'm going to just melt it down onto the, and I'm just adding to the material so that it's fully embedded, and any that may have gotten smeared out of its original location gets replaced with this, and it melts pretty quick. And this side doesn't have to be as pretty because this is the back. But what I want to do is I want to make it as pretty as I can to develop my technique for quote-unquote pretty for the front. So that's enough material. So I just kind of want to smooth this out and just get a feel for how the plastic responds to me, so that I can kind of get a feel for what's going to happen on the front side. Kind of want to smear it down in place. Okay. Okay, I'm all done with the back side. Here's what it looks like. Okay, it's got the mesh, you got the plastic reinforcement. Use the smoke, and that's one thing too about the smoke. This stuff does smoke, so you want to work in a well-ventilated area, because yeah, that's smoke. You need to have a fan or be in the garage or outside. Smoke is pretty bad. So there it is. There is the back side. So now we're going to turn over to the front side. I'm going to kind of clean up, aesthetically clean up this crack. So wish me luck. Here we go. Now you'll notice that as I do it, yeah, I'm feeling the crack, but it seems like I'm making a mess of it. But when we're done with the actual repair of the crack, we will sand and polish this down to where you cannot tell that I ever made these little puddles. So don't give up on me yet. I was a very attentive student in my little plastic welding classes. I paid very close attention to what they were trying to explain so that I could execute it and get a result that would be acceptable to me on my car. I did not want it to look like somebody had plastic welded it. I wanted it to look like it had never been damaged. And that is the goal. I wanted it to be strong, but I also want it to look good. And that is what we are shooting for. Right. So it is closing up the crack very nicely. The crack is almost imperceptible. And I keep working on it until it is completely imperceptible. And then we will commence with the sanding and then the polishing. Getting it as smooth as you can with the iron reduces the amount of sanding you have to do. I'll probably start off with 80 grit and then go up from there. Up or down, however you view it. Okay, so my first pass with the sander is going to be on, it's going to be with, actually, you know what? This isn't 80, this is 120, but 120 is fine. So I'm going to use 120 grit, and I'm going to gently, I mean, it doesn't take much. I'm just going to sand until everything is level and smooth, and everything goes on the same. And then I like this because I can just turn it and go to the next area on the paper. And gently, slowly take it down, just watch the contour. And what I'm going to try to do too is I'm going to sand in the direction that the part runs with the car. I think that's going to help make it smooth as we go further and further down. And clean it up more and more. I think any small abrade marks will be much easier to disguise if everything is going in the direction of the part as it is installed on the vehicle. Okay, so we're pretty much done with that component. I have a little bit of WD-40 on there, but it came out pretty good. That's the front. Here's the back where we put the mesh. For now, this is gonna have to do, and I'll put some bumper black on it so that the whole thing's one color, and we'll swap out the other one that's cracked and put on this repaired one. Stay tuned. Now that skirt is repaired, you just take off the old and put on the new. Alright, I guess I'll let you guys watch me screw in the last screw. We'll bumper black it, and I'll let you have a look at what it looks like. Okay, a little tire wet, bumper black, whatever you want to call it, and we should be good. Thank you for watching.